There's an old warning about never meeting your heroes, and in the world of entertainment, no one embodies that warning quite like James Corden. For years, he was everywhere. Late night television, awards shows, blockbuster movies, Carpool Karaoke with the biggest names in music. He built an empire on being the lovable, relatable everyman who just happened to make it big. America couldn't get enough of him. Networks threw money at him, celebrities lined up to appear on his show, but behind the infectious laugh and the carefully crafted humility, something else was lurking. A pattern of behavior so toxic, so consistently cruel, that it would eventually tear down everything he'd built. This is the story of how one man's ego destroyed a career worth millions. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll understand why some people should never be given fame in the first place. James Kimberly Corden entered the world in London, 1978. Son of a book salesman and a social worker. Nothing remarkable about his childhood. No tragic backstory, no rags to riches tale, just a standard working class British upbringing, the kind that would later become his entire brand. He caught the acting bug early, landing small roles in forgettable British TV shows throughout the 90s. Hollyoaks, Boys Unlimited, nothing that would suggest he was destined for anything special. But then came Fat Friends in the early 2000s, a drama about overweight people trying to lose weight. Yes, that was actually a primetime show. And it's where everything changed for Corden. On that set, he met Ruth Jones, a talented writer and actress. They clicked immediately, and together they created something that would transform British comedy, Gavin and Stacey. The show premiered in 2007, a simple premise about a young English guy falling for a Welsh girl. But it was the supporting characters, Smithy and Nessa, played by Corden and Jones, who stole every scene. The show became a cultural phenomenon in the UK. 3 seasons, massive ratings, critical acclaim. James Corden wasn't just famous anymore, he was a household name. The offers flooded in, awards, ceremonies, panel shows, movie deals. He was the golden boy of British entertainment, a natural performer who could banter with anyone. The question was no longer if he'd succeed, but how far he could go. But here's where the cracks started forming, and we need to pay attention to this part because it's where the pattern begins. Flush with success from Gavin and Stacey, Corden decided to branch out. He teamed up with his co-star Matthew Horn for new projects. First up, Lesbian Vampire Killers. Yes, that's a real movie. Critics destroyed it, audiences ignored it. Then came their sketch show, Horn and Corden. It died quietly, and suddenly, Corden wanted nothing to do with Matthew Horn. The friendship vanished. Make of that what you will. But something else was happening behind the scenes. Something darker. Rob Brydon, his Gavin and Stacey co-star, pulled him aside with a warning. Rein it in. Your behavior is getting out of control. Even Corden's own sister told him directly, James, stop being such a dickhead. He ignored them both. Then came the 2010 Glamour Women of the Year Awards. Patrick Stewart was on stage, and he did something unexpected. He called Corden out, live, in front of everyone. When the presenters are up here and recipients are receiving their awards, don't stand at the back of the stage with your hands in your pockets, looking around as though you wished you were anywhere but here. The room went silent. Corden tried to laugh it off. But the damage was done. For the first time, the public saw a glimpse of who he really was when the cameras weren't focused on him. Still, his career survived. He kept booking gigs, kept hosting shows, kept appearing in movies, but he needed something bigger. He needed America. In 2014, Craig Ferguson left The Late Late Show. CBS needed a replacement. Someone fresh. Someone different from the polished, traditional late-night hosts. They chose James Corden. And at first, it was brilliant. His approach was different, more casual, more genuine, or so it seemed. He actually engaged with guests like they were human beings, not just promotional tools. The show's ratings climbed, but it was Carpool Karaoke that changed everything. The concept was simple. Drive around with celebrities, sing their songs, have fun. It went viral, again and again. Adele, Paul McCartney, Stevie Wonder, Michelle Obama. The views were astronomical. James Corden wasn't just a late-night host anymore. He was a cultural force. He hosted the Grammys, the Tonys. He landed roles in major Hollywood films. Everything he touched turned to gold. He'd conquered America. He'd proven that a chubby British guy could become one of the biggest stars in American television. But success has a way of revealing who people really are. And for James Corden, that revelation was about to destroy everything. The first major public crack came during a segment on his own show, Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts, the game where you either answer embarrassing questions or eat disgusting food. Jimmy Kimmel asked him something simple, something any decent boss should be able to answer instantly. Name 2 of the cameramen in this room. Corden couldn't do it. He couldn't name a single person who worked on his show, not one. He chose to eat cow tongue rather than admit he had no idea who these people were. The people who made his show possible, the people he saw every single day. Think about that. His own producers let that segment air. They knew what it would reveal, and they aired it anyway. That should tell you everything about how he treated his staff. The floodgates opened. In 2018, Corden did a Reddit AMA, Ask Me Anything. For those who don't know, Reddit doesn't hold back. And neither did they. One of the top comments came from someone who'd encountered him in a London restaurant years earlier. The story painted a picture of someone rude, dismissive, and hostile to regular people. Another commenter described his behavior on A League of Their Own, a British sports show. According to them, Corden threw tantrums, refused to interact with fans, acted like an arrogant prick who hated being there. Every news story followed the same pattern. Nice guy on camera, absolute nightmare the moment filming stopped. Then came Cats, the movie adaptation that nobody asked for, the CGI nightmare that traumatized audiences worldwide. Corden's performance became the target of particular mockery. Even Ricky Gervais couldn't resist. The world got to see James Corden as a fat pussy. He was also in the movie Cats, but no one saw that. The backlash was so intense that over 100,000 people signed a petition demanding he be kept out of the upcoming Wicked movie. 100,000 people actively campaigning against a single actor. That's not normal. That's a statement. But the restaurant incidents were what really sealed his fate. In 2022, Balthazar, a high-end New York restaurant, according to the owner, Corden screamed at staff over a minor issue with his order. When they tried to fix it, he became verbally abusive, not just to the staff, but to other diners. The owner, Keith McNally, banned him publicly on Instagram. Corden apologized, got himself unbanned, but the damage was permanent. Because this wasn't an isolated incident, it was a pattern. Multiple restaurants, multiple staff members, multiple witnesses, all telling the same story. The hate intensified. People who'd never paid attention to James Corden were now actively rooting for his downfall, and they got their wish. Even Carpool Karaoke, his signature segment, came under fire when people discovered the cars were often towed on trailers. The whole thing was staged. It sounds minor, but it shattered the illusion. The genuine, spontaneous fun was revealed as carefully manufactured content. The ratings collapsed. By early 2023, The Late Late Show had lost half its viewership in just 6 months. Half. In April, the announcement came. Corden was leaving. And the show itself was being canceled. After decades on air, The Late Late Show was done. His excuse? He wanted to move back to the UK to focus on his family. The reality? His reputation in America was unsalvageable. His movie career was in shambles after a string of flops. His hosting gigs dried up. No one wanted to work with him. No one wanted to be associated with him. James Corden, the man who'd conquered American television, was going home in disgrace. He'll never struggle for money. His name still carries some recognition. He'll land occasional roles that keep him in the public eye. But his days at the top are over, permanently. His story is a cautionary tale about what happens when fame arrives before character is fully formed. When someone builds their entire career on a persona, they can't maintain. When the spotlight reveals who you really are, and what it reveals is deeply unpleasant. James Corden proved that you can't fake decency forever. Eventually, the mask slips. Eventually, people see the truth. And once they do, there's no going back. If you found this breakdown fascinating, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We dive deep into the rises and falls of celebrities, the scandals that destroy careers, and the truth behind the headlines. Don't miss the next one. And drop a comment below telling me whose downfall you want covered next. I'll see you in the next video.